And Alex is in the UK. He successfully arrived there to cover the Bilderberg conference that's going to be happening all week with Paul Joseph Watson and others. He joins us by phone now to give us the report of his travels and his arrival. Hey, Alex, you're on.
Mike, thank you so much. Thank you so much for sitting in and doing a great job on the broadcast for Natural News and for InfoWars. Obviously, Bilderberg doesn't kick off till Thursday, but the things that are happening here politically, their agenda just being released today, the list of attendees, just 6-7 years ago, they didn't do that. And even then, they would just send to one big newspaper, if a big stink got made, the list of government officials that were there from around the world. Now they put out the whole list and the agenda 3 days before it officially starts. We had that first today because Charlie Skelton of The Guardian alerted us even before The Guardian posted it, that it is up on the official Bilderberg meetings site. We now have the agenda and a breakdown of that, as well as the full list up on InfoWars.com. And again, for new listeners listening on AM and FM stations, you may be saying, why cover some group of politicians, royalty elite? Well, now it's about 150 members. There's a lot of them that aren't on the list every year. We're here to identify them. That's always the key people. And we have moles very close to Bilderberg, and we're able to learn the agenda for the year coming up. These people brag and released to the BBC about 4 years ago the fact that they helped found what became the EU. These are the people setting up the New World Order. These are the people behind the carbon taxes. It's in 21. Last year, when I was in Chantilly, Virginia at Bilderberg, a gentleman showed up with the National Archives. I'll just leave it at that. And he said, this isn't classified, but he said, if you've got the waivos, you can post it. It is restricted. And it was marked on each one, restricted National Archives of a U.S. senator's papers and some other internal Bilderberg documents. So it was his papers from meetings there in the 50s and 60s. And everything they talked about, they then got done within a decade. And so it's royalty, it's all of them getting together with energy ministers and others with the heads of the big power companies to then decide who's going to be able to operate, who's going to be shut down. It's the ultimate backroom deals, and it is a giant victory that people now know that Bilderberg even exists. I mean, just 4 years ago, as I've talked a lot about, the New York Times did a film review on the film New World Order and basically said that I was insane and Bilderberg didn't exist. And I was in Virginia, again, 5 years ago when they had the event, but this was in their newspaper 4 years ago when that film came out, imagining it. So it's a big defeat to them. First, they said it doesn't exist, and you're all kooks. There's nobody above presidents and prime ministers. The buck stops there. There's no secretive special interest, blah, blah, blah. Because Bilderberg members had been indicted and gotten in trouble before, like Prince Bernhard of the Netherlands, in Lockheed Martin's taxpayer scams, buying jets for more money than they were worth as getting kickbacks. Let's say a jet's worth $2 million. Well, he'd buy them for $5 million a piece and get $1 million out of the $3 million extra. That's the type of stuff that they do on a small fry scale. It's much, much bigger. So that's why this is so huge. That's why this is so important. And think about the victory we've had, folks. All of us should be savoring this to realize we can have victory. These are just humans just like us. They're not God. They're not invincible. That they wanted to deny this existed for decades, and now they're forced to admit it. They go, okay, but so what? It's no big deal. Is that why over 2 million pounds or close to $4 million is being spent to erect a giant steel fence we're going to videotape tonight?
Alex, we gotta go to break here, Alex.
I had tried everything. I'd cut back the amount of food I was eating. I was lifting weights and jogging, but nothing was working. My body was literally starving for minerals and trace elements as well as key vitamins. And as soon as I had that, I immediately could eat half of what I was eating previously and be satisfied. Now, there are hundreds of great products at InfoWarsTeam.com, but I want to point out the 3 that have helped me lose 37 pounds in just 2 months. Products like Beyond Tangy Tangerine, Pollen Burst, and Rebound. When I started taking the Tangy Tangerine and other products every day, I lost more than 37 pounds in just 2 months. Now that's results. I want to challenge my listeners to go to InfoWarsTeam.com and to order just 3 of their products, and you will see the changes in the way you look, feel, and in your appetite almost immediately. Start your journey to health and wellness today. InfoWarsTeam.com.
And Alex, as I turn it over to you, I know your focus is Bilderberg, but I'm just wondering if you would comment on the big Drudge-linked story today, the U.S. Supreme Court saying that police can take your DNA anytime they want.
It's horrible news. It's the way the whole world's going because the establishment wants authoritarianism. The people running things have openly said, Bilderberg has said, the Trilateral Commission has said, the RAND Corporation has stated. In fact, we should talk about that more after the break and get David Icke's take on that. They just want to set the precedent to do whatever they want, whenever they want, and shut down the free press because the system is becoming so inequitable, so fraudulent. You've got big, fat special interests that are able to shut down their competition, able to transfer most of the wealth of themselves through government, corporate welfare, and bailouts. And then you've got a giant, dumbed-down mass of people that eat GMO and watch TV all day who will go along with it. But then you've got maybe 30% of us, conservatively worldwide or more, that actually are starting to wake up to what's happening and aren't going along. So it's when the unstoppable force meets the immovable object, it's going to be a nuclear explosion or an atomic reaction. Politically, historically, for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So as evil rises, good rises. And this is the process. I really had an epiphany last night flying in on that 10-hour flight from Dallas, Texas into London. I've got to say, I'd never seen the PBS special by Stephen Hawking on the nature of reality and, you know, do we have free will or not? And, of course, they ended up at the show saying we obviously do have free will. But expanding on that, it is our job to be tested. That's what this planet's all about in the middle of space. I mean, there's no doubt every culture has known this at their core. And it is our job to decide whether we support negative energy, destructive energy, parasitic energy, or, and I'm not trying to be new age here, I'm just saying, or whether, but just boiling it down to its most simple physics, or whether we support things that are of a higher order, things that build, things that construct. Are we based on fraud or are we based on lies? And so there is tyranny galloping forward worldwide because of all the cosmologies out there. And there's different forces in this world, different forces of good, different forces of evil, different passive forces. I hate to get philosophical here, but the main driving evil force is technocratic, it is scientific, and it believes in survival of the fittest, and it believes that dumbing us down and then killing us is an act of righteous dominance. But in the process, the globalists are destroying the planet and themselves. And it's really twisted. I mean, really, they're just a bunch of bullies who enjoy hurting innocent people. But when we come back briefly, as we go to David Icke, I will tell you my experience getting into the country, because they interrogated me for 15 hours in Canada, said they weren't going to let me in until a bunch of press showed up. Thanks to Jim Tucker calling the CBC and others and local newspapers. Then they got scared and released me. I believe they weren't going to let me into England, who's blocked Michael Savage and many others, except for the fact that I made the point, this will just be bigger news if you don't let me in. We got into the cube. And, well, I'll tell the story when we come back. It's just that they definitely had extra people up there with us, and they were making a decision on whether or not we were going to be let into the country, because everybody else was just flying right through, and some things happened there, so I'll finish up with that. But this is a big deal that we can be here, that we can cover this, and that now Bilderberg is admitted in all over German, British, Dutch newspapers, some U.S. newspapers, but now they've got to make jokes about it. I mean, oh, it's just a bunch of elitists meeting in secret. What's the big deal? Well, we're here to expose what they're doing, the men in the smoking room. And again, Mike Adams, I want to thank you for co-hosting and being traffic cop today. David Icke is coming up with Mike Adams, Alex Jones, and more. I'm coming to you live from Bilderberg 2013.
Our viewers have demanded it, so now you're gonna get it. More pro-Second Amendment gun shows in the month of June.
What we've learned is you cannot hide behind an I-beam when there's a .50 cal present.
Weapons and Arms, 50 cal ammo review, and more. Coming in the month of June to the InfoWar.
This is Mike Adams filling in with Alex, who's joining us via Skype from the UK, where he just arrived. He's going to tell us that story in a minute about how the extra scrutiny was applied to him arriving there because of the Bilderberg conference. But Alex, I gotta tell you, when I walked in the studio today, I saw this infidel armor, and I have it on the desk here. It's awesome. It's got MOLLE attachments. I mean, I normally don't, plug your sponsors, but I'm glad you have the sponsor, and this body armor looks really amazing. I'm impressed by it.
Well, it's funny that you bring that up, because I do need to plug our great sponsors that have helped finance this trip to come cover the global shadow government. And we're about to go talk to David Icke. I'm only going to be here for about 20 minutes so that David can get in a word in edgewise. And I really look forward to meeting him in person on Friday. And hopefully we'll get him in studio with us during the show Friday, U.S. time, Friday evening, British time, UK time. But David Icke is about to join us. I saw his impassioned letter last week when they were talking about not letting anybody have a permit to have a rally on city property, private property, you name it, but letting the Bilderberg group have their criminal events. We're going to have David Icke on with us here in just a minute. But yes, infidel body armor, just amazing body armor. They also have the bulletproof backpacks that are so popular, and they're a great sponsor, and they're patriots. And you can go to infidelbodyarmor.com, infidelbodyarmor.com, or give them a call, 1-888-608-6605, 888-608-6605. And also financing the real press, exposing Bilderberg, getting in their face, bringing out the real agenda from decades ago, them saying it didn't exist, till 5-6 years ago having to admit it exists, but still saying it doesn't matter if world leaders meet in secret. Financing that is, of course, InfoWarsStore.com, and all the best products are there, like the Pro Pure Water Filtration. We're still running the special, the biggest special ever, 15% off with promo code WATER15, WATER15. You can go there. We're going to sell out of the Traveler stainless steel gravity-fed filters very soon. The others are going to sell out. I said it would run till June 9th, the end of Bilderberg. I can't say it's going to continue, but a few days probably, because they are selling out, ladies and gentlemen. This has happened before. We did a 15% off. So WATER15 is the promo code at InfoWarsStore.com, or call 888-253-3139.
Hey, now,
okay,
Alex, on this body armor, just real quick comment. Everybody I know who's a prepper is running a chest rig like this, or some kind of body armor like this. The thing is, you can run it as a chest rig without the plate, and just to carry things. I mean, even as a farmer or a gardener, you can carry, because it's got all the MOLLE attachments and it's got the ATAX pattern of camo, and then you can put the chest plate in if you need to, if there's riots or gangs looting or whatever. So it's dual purpose. I've got stuff just like that.
And I know you're one hell of a farmer and a prepper, man. I mean, you're out there doing it with your cows and your goats and everything else, doing a great job. Again, Mike Adams of naturalnews.com is riding shotgun. Gerald Salente is going to be giving you a trends in the news update for about 50 minutes in the third hour.
Visit InfoWars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. When you're on the site, you can also tune in 24 hours a day to my daily radio broadcast. There's also a free iPhone app to listen to the syndicated radio show when and where you want.